Hello everyone, this is Hilary Hahn. I'm recording this for the Houston Symphony Orchestra because I am on my way to Houston and I'm very excited to be working there. I remember going to Houston a long time ago for the first time, so I feel like I have a good connection to the city. I'm going to be playing Prokofiev's Concerto No. 1, and I actually have a connection to that piece as well. My teacher, Yasha Brodsky, with whom I studied at the Curtis Institute of Music in Philadelphia when I was 10 to 17, he actually studied in Paris the in the 1920s, and he studied with Eugenie Zay. I have a little story about that regarding the Prokofiev, because when Mr. Brodsky was in Paris, he wanted to enter a competition. So he went to, I guess, Mr. Izai or Maestro Izai, and in his next lesson he said, well, what should I put on the repertoire list for this competition? And Izai said, oh, put this, 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 and for the concerto, put down Prokofiev's concerto. So Mr. Brodsky said, but I don't know that piece. How am I going to play that in the final round? And to that, Izai said, well, it's Paris. They'll be impressed. They won't pick it, but you should put it down anyway. So he put that down as one of his pieces that he could play. Sure enough, he got to that round, and it was the piece that they asked him to play, but he only had a few days to learn it, to perform it with orchestra for this particular round. So he went back to his practice room, and he just practiced and practiced and practiced until he knew the piece. But if you can imagine, he probably had not ever heard it. He certainly had not seen the score. So to learn a new piece by a composer that was so renowned at that time, I can imagine, on the one hand, you know the composer's style, but it's also kind of nerve-wracking because it's a lot of new stuff. This piece is absolutely beautiful. It's mercurial, it's lyrical, it's driving, it is atmospheric and poignant. It turns on a dime. It'll start off in one direction, and its train of thought will suddenly seem to change in another direction. So it's a lot of fun to play that way. It also has a lot of really neat sounds that Prokofiev brings out of the violin. But Mr. Brodsky wouldn't have known how the piece held together. So when he got to the concert, he was feeling pretty nerve-wracked, and he went to the curtain that separates the stage from the audience, took a look out in the audience, and there was Prokofiev in the front row. So I think that was a bit of a surprise. But through that particular performance, Mr. Brodsky got to know Prokofiev a little bit, and from what I gather, he worked with Prokofiev on the concerto as well, although I don't know exactly in what circumstance that happened. So that's my story of Prokofiev's Concerto No. 1. I look forward to playing it in Houston, and I'm excited to see the audience work with the maestro and with the orchestra. So here I come, Houston.